So, what's the name of this crummy planet?
Our destination. The planet Earth.
This cult classic is in the hearts of many. Its comedy and malicious protagonist is a fantastic parody of the lifestyles and pop culture during the 1950s in the United States. He's been tasked to gather furon DNA inside human brains to keep the furon species from going extinct, setting us out on a humorous journey. After release, Destroy All Humans was wildly successful. However, it seems that with time, this game has gone under the radar. It has endless replayability value, but most past players tend to reminisce about the game rather than continue to play it.
There in the American heartland. And they destroyed the whole fairground. Civilian casualties were tragically high.
I will not rest until we find the perpetrators of the fairground carnage and bring them to justice.
Dragon's Dogma and its enhanced version, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, is a shockingly underrated open world. You're set on a journey in a high fantasy world, taking on the role of a human protagonist nicknamed the Arisen. Your goal is to defeat the dragon Gregory while facing the dark adventure ahead. This game can be compared to iconic franchises like Devil May Cry and Shadow of the Colossus. Inspiration from Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and Fable 2 was heavy in Dragon's Dogma as well. Despite being praised by critics, it's one of the most underrated titles because of the little love it got in the West.
You feel it, Zach? Coffee warned me. It said, tomorrow.
Half suspenseful horror and half action-packed mystery, Deadly Premonition is an open world full of mysterious characters. The game is reminiscent of Twin Peaks, following the story of a special agent investigating a strange town. In Deadly Premonition, you'll come across side quests and locals in the town that will lead you to solve a mysterious murder case. Sadly, it wasn't a commercial success during its original release. But thankfully, with it now being available on Steam, players have a chance to experience all that it has to offer. At its core, this game is worthwhile for any fan of horror video games.
I just don't like tea.
Take a sip of coffee.
While the gameplay mechanics aren't the best, Sleeping Dogs is still a game that didn't get all the love that it truly deserved. Some might consider Sleeping Dogs to be a copy of Grand Theft Auto, but it's a lot more than that beneath the surface. Despite being one of the most highly underrated games, there's a good reputation behind it. Over time, the game gradually has become a gem in terms of its immersive open-world mechanics. There's ultimately a novelty factor to it that makes it so redeemable to play. If you love a great Mafia game, Sleeping Dogs should be your next pick. Both cute and serving as the anti-Elden Ring, this open-world adventure game can keep you entertained for hours on end. Tunic follows the story of a fox who goes into a foreign world, unable to understand the language and creatures around them. If you like Stray, then Tunic is a perfect game to play. However, this game will be more combative than the beloved cat exploration game. The bosses aren't challenging, but you'll be taken off guard by how tactful you have to be to get by. Tunic is already a beloved indie game, but it does deserve more appreciation at the end of the day. The prequel for the Yakuza franchise is a comical video game that's more than having a crime-centric story. Yakuza 0 serves as the beginning for all the cherished characters that we had met in the series beforehand. Showcasing an immersive world with well-developed characters, you won't want to stop playing once you've started. It's offbeat and strange, but oddly in the best way possible. When you're not following the Mafia-like story, you have the chance to go about the vast world around you. From singing karaoke to managing a club, there's rarely a dull moment in Yakuza 0. Days Gone's downfall was mainly due to technical bugs. Other than that, this survival action adventure has an intense story, fascinating gameplay and emphatic characters. Not to mention the villains that you can rightfully dislike. A huge adrenaline rush washes over you after facing the combat in Days Gone. As you try to survive, everything becomes heart-pumping, having you face hordes of infected and mutated humans. Overall, it's clear that a lot of love was put into Days Gone, which makes it unrightfully underrated. Giving this game a chance sucks you into its world until the end credits roll.
In 2125, I was on a mining colony.
Selling more than 1 million copies during its release, Red Faction Guerrilla is a timeless open-world video game. However, it's slowly been buried as mentions of the game have appeared less and less over the years. This classic sandbox takes place on Mars, putting you in the role of Alec Mason. You ultimately work to take down an oppressive force residing on the Red Planet. Throughout your mission, destroying both buildings and various structures is the best way to get to enemies. Offering plenty of different tactical options to complete the objectives, Red Faction Guerrilla is a skillful game.
Among the stars, I was minding my own business. I was mining my own ore. And there you were.
Brutal Legend follows the heavy metal story of Eddie Riggs, featuring the talented voice of Jack Black. He's been transported into a fantasy world inspired by heavy metal album covers. Eddie becomes the world's savior, using the power of a flying guitar to tap into the magical powers of the world. Besides including Jack Black, there are other voices in the game that are associated with heavy metal. Most notably, Ozzy Osbourne and Lemmy Kilmister. With that said, Brutal Legend had many other aspects that made it an utter masterpiece. In the end, because of its difficult marketing, Brutal Legend never got the right kind of love that it needed.
Come on, we have to run.
This title follows an agent named Kyle Crane who is tasked with infiltrating the quarantine zone's city of Heron, which has become infected with a virus turning civilians into ruthless zombies. The zombies in this game follow a day and night cycle. During the day, the zombies are lethargic and won't put up a fight. However, things quickly change for the worse at night as they become incredibly more aggressive. Developers have also tossed in some parkour elements allowing players to easily traverse the city and its obstacles when fleeing the undead hordes. Combat has been changed from the melee focus in Dead Island towards more gunplay, giving players a true action-adventure experience. It's worth mentioning the DLC expansion, Dying Light the Following. This puts players into a new map filled with more content such as modifiable vehicles. Meanwhile, zombies are still very much a threat, but alongside them is an ancient cult,